Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about a new writing form that we can use and, of course, use our text evidence from our new text. This unit, we're working to answer the question, where does nourishing food come from? We've talked about how food can nourish our body and how food can nourish a community. Now we're looking a little bit deeper and wondering where this food comes from. If you look at these photos, you'll see there's lots of people who have to work together to bring food to a store and then to your house. These pictures depict that it takes lots of different people in lots of different places all around the country and all around the world to bring nourishing food to you and your families. Today, we are going to look a little bit closer at the text features and work to answer the question, why did the author write this text? Of course, the text we're talking about is The Vegetables We Eat by Gail Gibbons. We're going to look closely at the text today for clues that the author uses to help us better understand why they wrote the text. An author of any type of writing, especially a book, can use lots of different hints to teach you why they wrote that book. For example, the title of this text is The Vegetables We Eat. We know that the author is going to be teaching us something about the vegetables that we eat. The title is the first hint an author chooses to teach us about what they are going to inform us all about. Gail Gibbons also uses other things in this text. Do you remember other clues or text features an author can use to give you hints about what's important? I wish I could hear what your answers were and see your hand being raised, but I'll help you out. One thing an author likes to use is a heading. In different parts of a story, there's going to be a heading to tell you the title of that section. Sometimes authors also include tables of contents so you can know which pages those sections are on. Gail Gibbons did not include a table of contents in this text, but she does include headings at different points of the book. Another thing Gail Gibbons uses is illustrations. Now, most informative texts often use photographs to teach us about the thing that they're teaching about. But Gail Gibbons has a lot of wonderful illustrations in her text. Just because they're illustrations doesn't mean we can't learn from them. The wonderful thing that she includes in all of her illustrations is labeling and captions. In Gail Gibbons' text, for example, we will see a little arrow and then words next to the thing she has illustrated in her in her pictures. Be on the lookout for when I read one section to you today for these awesome labels and captions. Today, we are going to try describing and introducing a new type of writing. This new type of writing is called process writing. So, you are already an expert at informative writing paragraphs, and this is just a different type of informative paragraph. We know, as good writers, our informative paragraphs are going to teach our readers something. So your job when you're writing a procedural writing is to describe the steps of how to do something or how to make something for your readers. You get to be the teacher when you are writing a process writing essay. One important thing to include in your writing when you're doing a process writing is to include words like first, then, next, and finally, so that your readers know exactly the right steps on how to do something. You can get information for these steps from, of course, the text that we're reading. By the end of this unit, we're going to be able to use this text to help describe how to do something. Good writers who write process writing make sure that their readers will be able to understand how to do something or how to make something by the end of reading their writing. Let's practice. Let's talk about how you would make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Think in your head, or maybe talk with someone in your house, about how you would make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What are the maybe 3 or 4 steps you would take to make that peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Go ahead and share it with someone in your house, or maybe talk about it or think about it just by yourself and think about all the important steps it takes to make a yummy peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Do you have all the steps? I'm going to show you how I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm going to make sure that I use these important words first, then next, and last when I'm describing the steps to you. First, I lay down 2 slices of bread. Then I open the peanut butter and jelly jars. Next, I spread the peanut butter and the jelly on the bread slices. And last, I put the 2 slices on top of each other. This picture is a little silly because the jelly's on the outside. I usually put the jelly and peanut butter next to each other. But you saw how I used the words first, then, next, and last to describe the steps. Now we're going to go to the text and just look at one heading or section of our text to describe how to grow a vegetable garden. So here's our text, The Vegetables We Eat by Gail Gibbons. I'm going to go to page 21, and I see the heading, How to Grow Your Own Vegetable Garden. This heading is an awesome hint from Gail Gibbons, the author, to help us figure out exactly how to grow your own vegetable garden. By the end of this lesson today, I want you to be able to say out loud the 3 or 4 steps it takes to grow your own vegetable garden. Then you'll practice writing it for me on Class Dojo. So here's our heading, How to Grow Your Own Vegetable Garden. That's what we'll learn in this section. As you can see, before we even get to the words in the text, we see these wonderful labels for all of the great things that Gail Gibbons includes in her illustrations. These bags over here are fertilizers. They are substances added to the soil for food for plants. In this boy's hand, I see a shovel that may be used to turn over the soil. Over here, this girl has a rake which may be used to smooth the soil so it's ready for planting. When it gets warm enough, many people enjoy planting, growing, and later harvesting their own vegetables. Most often, they buy packets of seeds that have directions. This page is also really reminding me of all my students' things that they're growing at their houses. I wonder if you have something you can share a connection with. Okay, let's go down here. Some people plant starter plants, also called seedlings. Most of the time, vegetable seeds or starter plants are planted in straight rows or circles. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot of people in this garden. It looks like a beautiful community garden, actually. I see that sometimes string or sticks are used to help plant straight rows to support climbing plants. When seeds are planted in a circle and covered with a mound of soil, the mound is called a hill. These are examples of starter plants. And in her hand over here, I see she has a seed packet. And in her hand right here, she also has seed packets. I like how they're putting in nice straight lines so it's organized. Over here, looks like a shovel, but I learned from this caption that it says a trowel is used to dig small holes for seeds and seedlings. Wow. So far, I heard on the first page that you had to wait till it's warm out. And on the second page, I see that they're organizing the seeds and the seedlings and planting them in the ground using a trowel. Oh, wow. Kind of looks like fall now that there's a scarecrow. The garden must be weeded and watered regularly. The plants begin to grow. Wow, I'm hearing the next steps in the process. They're watering and weeding the garden to keep the vegetables healthy. Wow, look at all these wonderful plants. They're another example of where you can plant things. In cities, people may grow vegetables in containers. Maybe you have containers in your backyard. The vegetable plants will become bigger until they are ready for harvesting. Wow. Now that's the end of this section. So in this section, we want to come up with how we will plant our own garden, and we used the heading here to figure out how exactly our author was teaching us to do so. Now we are ready to do our writing. Let's practice together talking through how we would plant our own vegetable garden. We're going to use the sections from the text to help us make sure we've got it. The first word I'm going to use when describing the steps is the word first. Now I can go back to the text and notice what they did first to help make sure I have the right first step. It says first people buy seed packets or seedlings. So that's the first step. First, we need to buy, let me show you the text, friends. Sorry about that. Here's the first 2 pages when they talk about them growing the seed, buying the seedlings or the starter plants. So I'm going to include that as my first step. First, buy seeds or seedlings. Then go back to the text and see what they said for us to do next. Okay, so then you have to plant the starter seeds in nice soil, and they talked about planting them in straight rows, or how some people also plant them in containers. So then plant them into the ground or containers. Next, let's go back and check what they did next from the text. Next, they talked about how you needed to weed and water the garden regularly so that the plants can begin to grow. Weed and water we'll say weed and water often. And finally, the last thing that they had in the text was, oh wow, there's beautiful evidence of everything growing. I like how the picture shows us how first they're kind of small, then it's a little bit bigger, and now it's really big over here. And then the vegetables will become bigger until they're ready for harvesting. So we'll describe that the last step is watch the vegetables grow bigger so that, or maybe until they are ready for harvesting. And harvesting was when they got to pick all of those ripe vegetables. So today I was able to use the text to learn and describe how to grow my own vegetable garden. I use these important words first, then, next, and finally to describe how exactly you would plant your vegetable garden. We said first you buy the seeds or seedlings, then you plant them into the ground or containers. Next, you weed and water often, and finally, you watch the vegetables grow bigger until they are ready for harvesting. Today on your Class Dojo assignment, I want you to describe the steps for me. I'm looking for you to use the words first, then, next, and finally in your writing. Thanks so much for learning how to be a different type of writer today and enjoying a new text with me. Have a great day.